Chords and Notes Nation. I'm Brian, and I'm back with another song reaction. Let's continue our journey through into Genesis, Selling England by the Pound, 1973. I've done 3 of the songs, and today I am going to do a 4th one after the Ordeal. I'm not really going in any specific order because the idea is to do individual reactions for each song and then go back and do a full album reaction. So, without any further delay, let's get ready to rumble. That was it. It was a song without words. Those are called instrumentals, you know. Anyways, okay, so yeah, it kind of eliminates half the work for me. I don't have to listen to the lyrics and try and decipher anything. So it was obviously it was a short one. It was about 4 minutes, a little over 4 minutes long. Um, I I liked it in the sense I first of all I gotta say I wish it was longer so that there was more to digest. This was kind of like an appetizer, if you think of it in terms of a three-course meal. It's whetting your appetite just a little bit. It's giving you just a little bit to tide you over until the entree arrives. Um, but it's almost like, oh, it was good enough that maybe I would want more. But if I have more, then I might not want my entree. That type of thing. So if you are okay with that food analogy, that's how it was to me. It had a very distinct English feel to it, as far as the composition was concerned. The feel was very bright and I wanted to say bouncy, but I don't think it's very bouncy at all. I think it was very bright and I noticed there was a moment where they did like a 3 or 4 chord progression as sort of a bridge, and it gave it almost those chords the way that they had put them together. Was almost like a Spanish feel to it, and I think some of it had to do with the fact that they were using a classical acoustic guitar, which obviously is very in Latin, Spanish and Latin music is it's very prominent. So that always gives it that sort of feel as well. And then I kind of like how they segued into more of a standard rock sound, as far as a nice gentle groove. You had your bass and your drums kicking in. I mean, before it was like piano and guitar and I want to say it was some sort of synth that sounded like a flute or some sort of woodwind. But you know, they could have, for all I know, had someone playing one of those instruments as well. So again, it was an appetizer, right? It gave you just enough, but not enough at the same time. Very, but for such a short song, there were a lot of notes and a lot of different directions. A lot of stop and go is the way I want to describe it. Excuse me. When it comes to the tempo or the groove, more so than anything else, and it made me start to think a little bit about the early to mid 70s in England, what was going on at the time. And I think really the only other point of reference I have for that kind of music, and when I mean that kind of music, that era of music, when it comes to the prog rock, the art rock type stuff, is Jethro Tull coming out of that time. There were some similarities in compositional approach to what Jethro Tull was doing, and that begs the question: is who else was making music like this? It would be very interesting to get into the history of that specific era of music. Yes, I think was around at that time, and let me see here. I'm looking at my my CD collection, which is not organized at this point. I have. Where is it? Here it is. this album. What year was that? 71. So I have 2 points of reference. I have Tall and I have Yes. And now, of course, the third point of reference is Genesis. So yeah, and I haven't listened to this album in a while, but yep. Um, I'm just thinking about the feel of the music. It was I want to say it was a little more peppy, a little more happy, um, and maybe that was reflective of the idealism of the time. And I know politically, libertarianism was really starting to take ground worldwide, and essentially the civil rights movement was still in full swing, not just in the United States, but worldwide. And you're looking at an era where people are looking for something better, a happier atmosphere to live in. Kind of like today. It's almost as if, you know, we're cycling through that again in a sense. And I don't mean musically, because musically it's get me started. Because what they were saying back then in the 70s and everything, and fighting against corporate control over artistic versus artistic creativity, you know. 2112 Rush, that was the big statement there. But anyways, I'm digressing. It was good. You know, it's got to be more, but it's also part of an entire piece, and that piece is going to be listened to, and I'll do a full album review on this and kind of get the idea, because when albums have a central theme or a central concept, you have to listen to it in the order that the tracks were laid out for you in order to get the full meaning of what was happening. So that's all I have for this one. Thank you guys very much. I hope you're all well, and I will talk to you in the very near